people, how you doing? I hope you're having a damn great day. Welcome back to the channel. Today we're doing something different. No tactics video today. I decided to freshen things up just a little bit and bring something back from the past, from January more so. And that is going to be how you can start off a Brighton Munich career mode. Of course, Brighton and Hove Albion, they have not had the best time this season, but nonetheless, starting off a realistic career mode with them could be a very fun, different type of way that you guys can play career mode. So obviously in videos like this, I just give you a few ideas, a few potential realistic transfers that you could look to make, as well as how you could look to try and set out your team, who you should look to keep, sell, sign, and all that good stuff. So if you guys don't mind, before we hop on any further into the video, please hit the like button down below, subscribe if you are new, and of course, I hope you enjoy this goddamn video. So, taking a look at the formation now, it's a shameless plug moment. With all these videos, I am effortlessly, shamelessly plugging my former videos, but I have gone ahead and already replicated the likes of De Zerbi and his 4-2-3-1 system. So, if you guys haven't seen it, I will link it for you at the end of this video, so you guys can go ahead and replicate it into your game, so you can have a very good, nice, realistic career mode with obviously the best possible realistic tactics. Anyways, let's have a look at the squad. Okay, so taking a look at the squad now, of course, this is quite a young team, to be fair, to be honest with you guys, with a few really good veteran players, none other than Jason Steele, of course, a goalkeeper that 3 years ago nobody would have heard of. Of course, he is 32 years of age, he is 75 overall, he does have a real face in the game, which is fantastic, but recently they went and signed the likes of Verbruggen, who will definitely be the future of Brighton. If not, they will sell him for £100 million and they'll find somebody else. Maybe this man right here, Sherpin, I think that's how you pronounce his name. Anyways, also a really good young goalkeeper, 23 years of age, with a real face. So maybe at the end of the first season, you get him and he can be the second choice or maybe the third choice, depending on how Steele and Verbruggen get on. And yeah, he could also be a very good option. But recently, they have brought in the likes of Bart Verbruggen, a very good, massive potential overall type goalkeeper. Use him as much as possible, try and grow him, and then of course, with the Brighton method, the Brighton way, sell him on for loads of money in 2 or 3 seasons time, of course. Anyways, progressing on to the left back department. Now, they do have Pervis Estepinian as well as Valentin, who they recently brought in the January window, which was fantastic. Out of nowhere, of course. Very much the Brighton way, but we will also talk about a few transfers later on down the line of this video, so stay tuned for that. But yes, so you've got 2 really good fullbacks on the left-hand side, in Estupinian as well as Valentin. I think that's his name, Valentin. Anyway, we'll get to him shortly. He is listed as a left midfielder that can play as a wing back as well as a left back. So if you can, turn him into a left back. But anyways, moving on to the centre back area, we've got the likes of Captain Lewis Dunk Webster Eagle, who I absolutely love. Recently got his new face in FC24 as well, which makes me love him even more. But he's a really good young player, 25 years of age, entering the prime of his career. An underrated signing, you could say. I think he hasn't had the best season so far with Brighton, but next year, the year after that, I think he can go up levels, and I wouldn't be surprised if a Chelsea, of course, always a Chelsea, or maybe even a Man United, or maybe even a Man City, to be fair, would come in for him because he's such a good ball-playing, physical, dominant, aerially superior centre-back for FC24. You can't go wrong with him. He is fantastic. Of course, a few other centre-backs that they do have is Van Hecker, Ofaya, and of course, Velkman, who can also play as a right-back. Now, in terms of the right-backs, kind of a weak area, if you ask me. Like, Velkman is up there in age, can also play as a centre-back. I personally see him as a centre-back, opposed to a right-back. And of course, we've got the likes of the young Tarek Lamptey, 22 years of age, can play on either the left or the right-hand side, but predominantly the right-hand side. I would probably look to maybe go ahead and sign a better player, maybe a more experienced player. Maybe I've put somebody on the list that they would definitely look to try and sign. And I don't think it's that far-fetched, because Brighton scouts everywhere, all over the place. They scout in the second division of the Dutch league. They scout in Japan. They scout in, South America. They scout in this Irish league. They scout everywhere. So I don't think you can go wrong with some of the players that I have put down. Anyways, as for the likes of the midfield, we're entering that phase of play. Billy Gilmore, fantastic. Try and grow him quite a bit. And I mean, maybe in a season or 2, maybe even 3 seasons, he could be an 80 overall, higher than that, and helping your team, achieve greatness. Or maybe you can try and sell him on for quite a bit of money and reinvesting it back into the team. That could also be another money ball type approach that you could look to try and take up. So moving on to the likes of Ansu Fati. Now he can play as a left midfielder, a striker, a cam, all three really good positions and useful positions that you can use in your current setup if you do use the 4-2-3-1. Now, obviously he is on loan at Brighton from Barcelona. I don't think Barcelona will be selling him to Brighton, and I don't think that Brighton would want to pay. I think the clause to make it a permanent deal is like 50 somewhat million or whatever. I don't think that they would do that. I honestly think they'll look for somebody a lot cheaper and with just as much of an effect on the team as what Fati has had. Although he hasn't been, playing that well, you could say. I don't know. I don't watch every Brighton game. I'm not 100% sure. I'm not a Brighton fan. But you guys can let me know down below. Would you want, especially if you're a Brighton fan, would you want to sign Ansu Fati on a permanent basis? Has he done enough to make you want him in the side? I don't know if he has, but I haven't seen that many games. So, anyways, of course you've got Enciso, a really good, young, talented player that can play just behind the striker, whether it's as a cam, a left mid, a right mid. Signed from Paraguay, again, 19 years of age. He's got a massive future, massive talent on your hands. Try and get the best out of him. Have him as the main backer for Kara Matoma, or maybe even on the right-hand side as well. But speaking of which, Matoma got his real face, and obviously if you're an FC24 fan, you are absolutely loving it because he is an amazing player, an amazing talent. 26 years of age, 81 overall. He's only got a potential of 82, which I don't agree with. I think he should be much higher, but at least he's got a real face. I love that. I absolutely adore that. But again, this is your superstar of Brighton. Maybe for the first season or two, you bang in goals with him, you get span assists, you do everything possible, and then a Manchester United will come knocking on the door saying, hey, we really like this guy, your left midfielder, should we buy him? And then you say, yes, here's 100 million, or here's the price, 100 million, you give us that and we'll give you Kara Matoma. And then you take that money, you go scout in Japan, you find the next Kara Matoma, and then you do the same process over and over and over again. Obviously, gradually just improving your squad every time to the point where you'll be in the Champions League, you'll be, winning trophies left, right, and centre, whether it's the FA Cup, the Carabao Cup, the Champions League, the Premier League, you name it, you can probably win it with this amazing side. And to be fair, Simon Adingra is fantastic. This is one that really peeves me a bit because he should have a real face. I'm pretty sure he's had his face scanned, but you probably find that FC or EA are out here saying, we'll just keep his face for FC25. That'll keep, people coming back. He's had his face scanned. I don't know why it's not in the game yet, but he can play as a left mid, a right mid, as well as a striker. A very fluid front line, you could say. A lot of the players can play on the left, the right, and up front, or just in behind of the striker. And Simon Adingra, he could be the natural heir to the Matoma throne, or maybe Enciso could be that, or potentially, depending on how you see Valentin Barco, that's his name, Barco. But Valentin, nonetheless, Valentin. If you see him as a left midfielder, then fair play. But so far, I have gone ahead in the development plan, and it is going to take quite a while because he's such a good attacking talent. I'm converting him into a left back. He could be the natural replacement for the likes of Purvis Estupinian when he eventually does leave. He is only 18 years of age, 73 overall, massive potential. If I'm not mistaken, I think it's like mid 80s or high 80s, I think. Really good player. I hope he does get his real face in the game ASAP because he could be an amazing wonder kid signing to make for other career modes as well. But honestly, 18 years of age, grow him, try and develop him as best as possible. Try and, nurture him, create that good environment for the young talents that will be coming through your doors. And of course, he will definitely be one of them. Anyway, progressing on further up the field. Obviously, Sarmiento is out on loan currently. Also, a real-faced player, which is fantastic. After his loan with Ipswich, bring him back. Try and, develop him a bit more. Maybe sell him on if he doesn't grow enough. He is only a 67, which maybe he should be a bit higher. But it's the rotation door, the rotation doors of Brighton. They consistently do this. God, I can't speak. Anyways, they consistently do it on a regular basis, bringing in young talent, rotating them out on loan or selling them for massive fees, and he could be one of them. Anyways, we've got the veteran of the side, James Milner, in the final 12 months of his deal. I would probably let him go after the first season. I don't think he's a long-term signing or season 2 or 3 type player to be in the squad. And if you do, keep him there, it would literally just be a reserve player role. Obviously, for the first season with a 77 overall, he will, feature. But otherwise, let him go at the end of the season. Another, this could be considered a Brighton legend. Pascal Gross, a fantastic penalty kick taker. He scores like every penalty he's ever taken. Oh my god. But he also plays all over the place. He plays as a right wing, he plays as a right back, he plays as a DM, a central midfielder, an attacking mid. He plays every goddamn where. He is the archetypal, rotational type player. He can play everywhere and anywhere. He's got the skill sets to do well in basically every single position. Another player that has shocked me that they've sent him out on loan is Mohamed Dahoud. Now, I don't know what the whole issue was that he ended up going out on loan. Maybe he just didn't fit the style of play or the system. And of course, Brighton signed him for free. So maybe they're just looking to bring in extra money. Maybe he does end up joining Stuttgart at the end of the season on a permanent basis. And you know what? Fair play to Brighton. They signed him on a free. They've made a massive sale out of him. Fair play. But I don't know. If you are a Brighton fan and you are looking at and watching this video, let me know. I don't really care too much to research it or understand what happened. But if you guys can let me know down below, that would be fantastic as well. I mean, even if you're not a Brighton fan, if you just know of what's happened between Mohamed Dahoud as well as, the relationship between him and De Zerbi and so on, that would be great. Moving further forward, though, we've got Moda, a really, really good career mode signing to potentially make. 24 years of age, 73 overall. He does grow up to around an 80, 81. He could be a solid building block for an RTG career mode. Maybe a Season 2 or Season 3 type signing to make. But again, for Brighton, he could be superb. Can play as a left midfielder, a DM, or even a central midfielder. And then this kid right here, he is out on loan. I watched him versus Newcastle. He came on as a second half sub. Played so well. I am very impressed with this kid right here. Yassine Ayari, I think that's how you pronounce his name. He will be what people spoke about Caicedo last season. That's basically what I'm trying to say here. Next season, when he comes back and, Brighton start giving him more minutes in the Prem, he will be that type of talent. I do hope he can get a real face, but I know right here, right now, bookmark this right here, right now. This kid will be special. This kid will be sold for 50+ million pounds in 2 seasons' time. I can almost guarantee it. Maybe a Liverpool, maybe a Chelsea. It's always going to be a Chelsea. But maybe a big club comes in for him, and I do see him having a massive, massive, massive impact on Brighton next season. Anyway, progressing further forward, of course, Baleba, the more natural replacement for Caicedo, hasn't really done the job that you would have expected him to do. But of course, he is 19 years of age. Maybe he needs a bit more time to bed and settle in and just adapt, lifestyle-wise and all that good stuff to the Prem. And maybe next season we see a better version of him. Although, I do have some, good hope that Brighton don't ever get things wrong in terms of signing young players. And I do think that he can come right eventually. Of course, Adam Lallana, final 12 months of his deal, 35 years of age. Apparently, he's currently doing his scouting badges, which is really cool. So, on a more realistic aspect, I do think that this will be his last season. Maybe next season might. But I do think he will be retiring within the next, 12 to 24 months. So, maybe letting him go on a free, getting him out the door, bring up those wages, fulfilling another youngster's potential in that spot. That might be a better option going forward. Anyways, we've got some good young players here as well, but Solly March and Bonanotte, also really good players. You can also convert some of the other left midfielders into right midfielders to obviously take up these spaces. But what I do know is they do have quite a lot of wide players, wide playmakers. I mean, it is a lot, and I don't think you can more or less have all of them in the side rotating efficiently. I think 4 to 5, that's enough, but anything over and above that, you might need to get rid of. So either you loan out some of these players, maybe Bonanotte gets loaned out, maybe you convert him into an attacking midfielder, potentially. But I do think that something needs to happen there. You do have an overabundance of wide players in those wider areas of the field. Anyways, progressing on to the forward line, we've got the likes of Danny Welbeck, Undav, who's having an unreal season with Stuttgart, who are also having a very good season in their own right. Maybe, at the end of the season, he comes back, you sell him for a big fee. Of course, he is a 78 overall. And I do think you can get 10, 20, maybe even 30 million, depending on how well he plays and how well he grows. But this is the man of the hour. This is the guy who I think the team should be built around for the long-term future. I don't see him leaving Brighton in the next 2 to 3 years in real life. So I do think that building the team around him for now, and maybe even, 2 or 3 seasons time, that could be a massive plus. And he also has a very big overall, I think, or potential, I should say. I think it's like 85, 86, maybe even higher. I might be mistaken. But between him and Evan Ferguson, they could be the future of the side. Whether it's, Ferguson leaves now and you sell him for 10 million, or you wait and you progress and you level him up, you get his overalls to closer to 80, maybe even, 85, and then you sell him on for a massive fee of 100 and some odd million, whether it's to a Liverpool. And to be honest, a lot of these teams I'm mentioning, the Liverpools, the Chelseas, the Uniteds, I'm mentioning mainly the English teams because Brighton want to sell to those biggest clubs, to those teams who have the money. I mean, maybe you sell an Evan Ferguson to a Real Madrid, maybe. But would a Real Madrid come in for an Evan Ferguson in real life? I don't know. Obviously, where you sell players to, it needs to also have that realistic aspect to it. And I mean, I don't see Evan Ferguson going to play for Real Madrid. Maybe that might happen. Maybe in 10 years' time, I look back at this video and say, what an absolute fool. Maybe Evan Ferguson goes on and wins, 5 Ballon d'Ors. Who knows? But he does have a massive potential. So selling him to a massive European club or a massive, English team, that could also be a big plus for you guys. But what I would say is try and develop them more. Because again, Evan Ferguson, his transfer value in FC24 is not accurate. It's not realistic. But it's only set to around 10 to 15 million, which is a massive bargain if you are looking to get a good young striker in. In real life, he goes for 75 plus million easily. So yeah, it's all these mitigating factors that you also have to try and factor in to try and, create these realistic parameters to your career mode. Okay, so taking a look at some of the players that I've jotted down on the shortlist that are realistic, that have been linked with a move to Brighton, that Brighton are currently scouting. Starting off with the right wing back, Emil Holm, I think that's how you pronounce his name, 6'3", right wing back, right back, as well as a right midfielder. He is 23 years of age. Some really good play styles to his game. Rapid, relentless, and long throw. Doesn't have a real face, which does suck a little bit, but he could be a very good, adequate replacement for a Veltman if you decide to sell him, or maybe even a starting type player over the likes of Lamptey as well. He is out on loan in the first season, out on loan at Atalanta, but I think in season number 2, you can get him for around 5 million, which again is a great deal that Brighton often, realistically wise, tend to execute very effectively. Bring him into the club, grow him into a fantastic right back, one of the world's best up-and-coming talents, and then sell him on 2 or 3 seasons down the line. As for the midfield, they've been linked with a move for Carlos Soler. Now, in some of my other videos that I've done like this, I have mentioned Carlos Soler is very unhappy at the likes of PSG, and he is looking for a move. So maybe, just maybe, he resurrects his career at the likes of Brighton. Of course, they are playing European football. I don't know for next season if they will be, but they'll be in and around those areas of the table. So maybe he goes and finds a new lease on life in terms of his career, and maybe he can, revive that very well, very effective. Out on the wings, they have been linked with a whole host of young wide players, whether it's on the left or the right. None other than Jack Clark, of course, having a very good time at Sunderland. 22 years of age. He is right-footed, left midfielder, and again, good play styles as well. He's got the technical dribbler badge. Akaturkoglu? God damn it. Anyway, this is the guy that scored against Man United, and I don't like his face. He doesn't have a real face, by the way. But he is a very good player. Left midfielder, can play as a cam as well. Also, some very good play styles. Finesse, incisive pass, rapid, and of course flair. And then one that I overly enjoy signing for rebuilds and, career modes and all that good stuff is Samuel Elling Jr. Recently also got his new face or real face in the game. You could probably get him for around 2 to 3 million. I think in real life, though, Juventus would want somewhere between 15 to 20. But he could also be a very good player to maybe replace a Solly March. Maybe if, an Ansu Fati does leave, you bring him in. He could be a very good player. He is also 6 feet tall. He is left-footed, so maybe playing him as an inverted right midfielder could be a bit better. Anyway, further forward, though, into the attacking midfield roles. Of course, a De Zerbi former player, former team. Sudakov. Can play as on the wing or as an attacking midfielder. And again, you do tend to see that Brighton have a whole, abundance of these very flair attacking type players, young as well. So maybe if you sell a Bonanotte or, an Enciso, and then you're looking for a replacement for them, this could be the hand and glove type fit. Another hand and glove type fit could be this man right here, Asan Odragaro. Linked with a whole host of clubs. People have described him as the German Pogba. Obviously, I would assume it's the ability on the ball, the dribbling style, the fact that he's 6'3", massive, physical, does play higher up the field, does have a very good attacking outlet. He could be very good, and I would love to see him at a club like Brighton, who are going to definitely develop and refine his, talents and qualities on the field and on the ball, and just get the best out of him. Of course, he is also only 17 years of age, does play for Schalke, and at the moment, Schalke are in dire need of money. So I do think that they could possibly look to try and get rid of some of their better talents in order to keep the club afloat. Of course, if they're in like 150 million euros debt or something like that along those lines, and if they get relegated to the third division of German football, they could be forced to liquidate the club and more or less restart, which is a very, very sad affair, especially for a club the size of Schalke. They are huge, massive in Germany, so it is a very sad situation. But if you're looking for a nice, realistic, player to maybe try and target, this man right here could be your guy. Okay, and then the final option that I've gone with is Reiss Nelson. Obviously, currently playing at Arsenal. Why would Arsenal want to get rid of one of their players? They're in a title race. They're doing well. Well, Reiss Nelson doesn't play that much. Even when Bukayo Saka is injured, Reiss Nelson doesn't play. When Martinelli's injured, Reiss Nelson does not play. And Reiss Nelson is 23, going on 24. Maybe he is 24 at this moment in time. But he is at the point in his career where he needs to decide whether he's going to be a bit part player in a team that does well, or if he's going to actually enjoy his career, play football, be involved in winning teams. And he needs to decide that. He's got the talent, he's got the flair, he's got everything that you would want and require from a winger. Of course, he is English as well, so that does fit the homegrown system if you're looking for those realistic parameters as well. And I do think that when Ansu Fati does leave, you go ahead and sign Reiss Nelson. He's got a real face as well, so it's a major plus. And I do think as well he could fit the style of play that Brighton are looking to try and implement throughout the course of their team. Okay, so, of course, Brighton are well known for their world-class scouting, whether that's finding a kid in South America somewhere, the middle of Asia, Northern Europe. They are so good at pinpointing the talents and obviously bringing them to the Premier League. So, I've gone ahead and given 4 different scouts different instructions and some requirements that I think that they could look for to try and, fill the voids that the current Brighton side does have. Now, of course, Brighton are also very good at, finding expiring contracts, giving those players options and the platform to try and, revitalize their career, whether it's Mahmoud Dahoud, like we spoke about earlier. Of course, Lallana was signed on a free from Liverpool, as well as James Milner. So you will be looking for maybe a few older players to try and, help coach and make sure that the younger players are more or less in line and in check more times than not. So I've gone with the average age, or the age being 22 to 35, and also in the final year of their contract. As for the overall conditioning, first team quality, they need to be that. And then in terms of the position, it doesn't really matter. Anywhere and everywhere is fine. Another area that I think that they should look to try and target would be the centre-back area. Of course, they've got Webster, Lewis Dunk is getting up there in age. They've got Veltman that can fill in there. They've recently signed Igor, who is fantastic, like I said. But they do need to, maybe find one or two younger centre-backs. Maybe they've got a Fire coming through from the academy. He could be a solid option, but maybe looking for a slightly better quality player could be another option for you. So, of course, centre-back, first team quality, 22 to 35 years of age, and the contract length doesn't matter too much. Another area that I also think that they do need to target, of course, they've got the likes of Billy Gilmore and so on in that area, but it is going to be the defensive midfielder departments. Currently, I do think that they are a bit short there. They do need a bit more quality there. So again, first team quality is a necessity, 22 to 35 years of age, and of course, the contract length, again, it does not matter. Finally, the last bit of instructive news that I will give you is they are also good at finding, these very young talents. So therefore, any position, they need to be a world-class prospect, and the average or the age should be 16 to 24 years. Now, that'll help you find some of the best young talents in world football. And of course, it is up to you who you can pick and choose to try and bring into your club. Now, before we talk about the youth and the youth system and the youth scouting, I just wanted to show you guys that you do start off with around £55 million or £55.5 million in your budget, which is it's a lot. It is a lot. Like, Brighton obviously making it into Europe has helped them a fair amount. The sales of Caicedo and McAllister and all these really good players that they've sold, that has obviously also contributed to the fact that they do have a bigger wage and, you know, initial budget to start off with. So you start off with around £55 million. Use that wisely. Try and, you know, get the scouts in. Try and buy your scouting systems. Make sure that you are setting up for the future, because that is very much what Brighton are majorly concerned with, making sure that they are always 1 or 2 steps ahead of everyone else when it comes to scouting young talents, bringing in the right players for the system, bringing in the right coaches as well. So it does go a long way with trying to create that realism aspect to your career mode, of course. So yes, don't blow the budget on one player. Try and, you know, sign 2 or 3, maybe even 4 players out of that 55 million or 50 million, you could say, and make sure that they are there for the foreseeable future. 3-4 years down the line, you sell them on for massive prices. Okay, and finally, we'll talk about the youth system and the youth staff. Now, I've selected the best possible scouts that you can get so far. If I had to fire them, I might be able to find better. But if you can, try and get 5-star, because that would more or less represent the best possible scouts, and more so, Brighton have those at their disposal. So the 3 countries that I've selected to scout in for the first season would be Ecuador, Venezuela, and of course Sweden. Now, Brighton have quite a lot of scouts in South America doing a very good job in, you know, finding the next Caicedo, finding, you know, the next Cristiano Ronaldo, whoever, the next Messi, I don't know. They do an incredible job at making sure that they can find the very best young talents. So they are doubling up in South America, and that's why I've gone with Venezuela and Ecuador. Maybe next season you look at Argentina and Peru, or, you know, Colombia and somewhere. That could also be another alternative option. And then, of course, Sweden. They have recently started scouting in Sweden. Of course, Ayari is Swedish. So I do think that maybe they might be bringing in a few other Swedes to the side that could help, obviously, in the future, the next 5 to 10 years. They could definitely, you know, grow into the side and provide a very good, sturdy platform for them to try and grow off of. Anyways, so yeah, those are the 3 countries that I've selected. You can more or less try and target South America, any countries really, and of course Northern Europe as well. They've done a very good job in scouting good young talents from that region of the world. So there you have, people. That is how I would start off a realistic Brighton career mode in FC24. Of course, I am bringing this back. I just need a little break from it. It was getting a bit monotonous, a bit, you know, too much of the same. And I also needed the transfer window to close and, you know, for some other stories to develop, and so we can, you know, obviously link you guys with real targets and whatnot. Of course, if you guys have enjoyed this video, please don't forget to hit the like button. Who would you like to see me do next? Of course, it does take a bit of research and all that good stuff. I do have 1 or 2 teams that I am currently doing. So over the next few days, you can expect to see a few more of those. But yes, anyways, until the next time, my dudes, I hope you have a smashing goddamn day. I'm out, and I'll see you soon. Bye.